What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Leaders of Lifestyle podcast. We have a return guest, an amazing guest with us, Angel Nicolas. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to be back on the show.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you, man. We're going to get into a lot and unpack a lot of stuff. For people who don't know, you should absolutely check out his prior podcast that we did. We had him on. We talked about his whole prior history, his entrepreneurship, his professional baseball background, and the fact that he is absolutely crushing it in the Miami market. He's a specialist in the Coral Gables, Coconut Grove area, and many more. And he's one of the best Compass has to offer around the country. And we are very lucky to have him back. Again, today is all about talking about comparing some of the markets, seeing where the trends in his market is going, and then picking his brain a little bit about men's real estate fashion, which I'm very interested in because I need a ton of help. So thank you again, Angel, for being on with us.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for that intro. I feel
You like
special.
that? I worked on that for a while. There's many reschedules to this podcast. I was like, I got to get this in. I got to really knock this one out. But you're amazing at what you do. And again, people should absolutely be Googling you and checking you out, especially if they're in the real estate industry, high-end Miami market, working a ton of off-market as well. And the first thing I want to lead off with as far as markets and knowledge is, how is the market doing that you're in as far as having the low inventory we're seeing up northeast and the interest rates rising? How's it actually been for you? Forget what the national media is talking about. What's going on in your market?
Yeah, usually the national media doesn't match what's really going on, specifically in our different neighborhoods, right? Miami is actually pretty large, so the national media gives you the overall story. So to answer your question, it has been tougher to transact, not because there's low demand, it's because the lack of quality inventory. However, we have a great team and we're able to tie up the properties and create the deals, right? The demand remains very strong. People now are looking for that just quality listing, right? They're still willing to pay top dollar. And for the most part, they're not looking to do much work. Construction is difficult for people, and it's also very expensive these days. So they're looking for that turnkey home, which we don't have much of. But overall, the market is still great. People are still moving to Miami. We have 1,000 people a day moving to Florida. So we got to find home for these people.
Yep. I have to say I'm in 100% agreement. We just had this event in Greenwich with Leonard Steinberg and Shelley Treader Lynch, and we talked about the fact that, like, in the Greenwich market, we have 40% less inventory on the market currently. We're at 40% less sales than we did a year ago. So does that mean that the market's weak? I would say no, it's actually super strong. It's just that we don't have enough stuff to sell, which leads me to, and everybody's going to Florida, 100%. I'm guilty of looking at property too. But it leads me to this question. You were always known as somebody who does a ton of off-market stuff. And in this time where a lot of the misinformation's going on, how have you seen the off-market property world and sales been for you in your own business?
Mike, I'm having difficulties hearing you right now. Let me see if I can.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Again?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah,
yes,
what I was saying is, okay, good. So I was basically saying that I agree with everything that you said, and I gave I talked about our marketing. Did you hear about me talking about the differences in the markets?
I did. I just didn't hear the question.
Yeah. Question is, with all of that going on, how is that affecting the off-market property world? Because in our area, we're definitely seeing an uptick in that. People who are like, well, I'll put, I'll sell it, especially for the 1,000 people or 2,000 people that just bought and sold homes in the last 2 years. But I'll resell or I'll sell my property, but I don't want the foot traffic. I want to do it off-market. I want this number that in this crazy day that we live in, you can still get. How has it been in the off-market world?
Yeah, so not much has changed. The off-market world it all depends, what kind of product you have. Again, for that ultra luxury, something that everyone's looking for, perhaps off market is even better for the seller. People want to, the buyers at that level, they want to buy something that no one else has seen, that no one knows about. And when we do find that, they want to take action right away before it hits the market, because they know that perhaps if it does hit the market, they're going to be in a bidding war. We still try to create those bidding wars with off-market deals, but it has slowed down because, again, there's not much inventory. And the issue begins with when you find these properties and you talk to the sellers and they say, yes, I'll sell, but where would I go? And now the hunt starts of finding them a home and so on. So we're still doing lots of off-market deals, but now things have changed from the COVID days, that if you don't have that special home that we know that everyone's going to jump on it and want to go see it, it's better to list it and go on the market to get more attention and so on, to maximize the exposure of that property.
Got it. And then, so what do you say to the seller that says, because what people don't understand about how difficult the off-market stuff is, because it sounds really easy on the entry, right? I'm going to tell a seller, I'm going to sell your house without being able to put it on the market. You don't have to have any of the open houses. You don't have to do any of this stuff. And it sounds great. But what people don't understand about doing that and being really great at that is you have to be able to have the database to have the buyer, or else a lot of that time it becomes a waste of time. And sellers will figure that out real quick, that you're just trying to get something. And has that changed at all for you as far as finding the buyer, or has it even been better than ever, considering the fact that there's a surplus of buyers out there within our own even Compass database?
Yes, finding the buyers is not the tough part. Again, it's finding the quality listing. The buyers we have, and honestly, we have buyers at all different price points. It's just buyer a little bit pickier now, right? The COVID days, they were just happy to find something that they can actually buy and bring their family to Miami. Now people are, looking for that quality listing. They don't want to do construction, and that's the tough part. But what do I tell the sellers? We usually have about a week or two to market the home, off market, tell our internal buyers and perhaps even some of the top agents that we work with. And if we don't see an aggressive reaction to it, then at that point we circle back and we say, look, it's better we put this on the market. And those 2 weeks are very important for us to gather the price point, right? Because it's so important in today's world. It's going back to before COVID, just the prices are still at the same price. The pricing strategy is extremely important because it's going back to those first 2 weeks are very important in terms of how much action you get. Once you have a property that's still on the market, has been, more than 60 days, people start thinking, what's wrong with that house? What's going on? If there's not something wrong with it, then perhaps it's overpriced.
And if you think about what we're have an amazing opportunity for clients to do is, if you're working with a great broker like yourself, with a great company like Compass, who's experienced, has the ability to market and has the database, you can actually take that off market it for those 2 weeks, test sometimes the price to see where that is. And because we have such a demand for buyers, we could say this is not quite the same amount of activity you'll get if you're on the market. However, it's going to be very good. And it's a great low risk way to judge the entire pricing strategy. And I think it's if you do it right now, especially in the high end, it is a great way to be as efficient as you can, because like anybody else, like anything else, the biggest killer of value is time. The perception of time on market for these properties, once they hit the market, is that if it's not selling, something's wrong. And especially if it's marketed correctly and priced correctly, it's another thing for it to be super high. But they can take a shot at that higher price point as an off market, right?
Correct. Here in Miami, if it's not selling, it could be one or two things. Yeah, the realtor that they hired doesn't have the marketing power or the connections that that a top realtor has.
Right.
But for the most part, it's because it's overpriced,
Yeah.
right? So that's going back to that. It's very, very important that the pricing strategy, you have someone that is guiding you the right way. And you have a realtor that is not just a yes man, right? Because most real estate agents will tell you exactly what you want to hear to get that listing. And then 30 days after, they start telling you, oh, we need to drop the price. We need to drop the price. We need to drop the price once to secure that, 1 year or 6 months listing. So I like the strategy of, working as an advisor, and from the beginning, letting them know, hey, look, are you looking for a real estate agent that is going to tell you exactly what you want to hear? Or do you want that real estate agent that's going to give you, lead you the right way, even if it's something that you don't want to hear? Because I prefer to have that tough conversation from the beginning than saving it later on. And it's actually has come to bite me in the butt, because then it makes me look like I'm not good at what I do, right? How come my home hasn't sold? Well, we had the conversation from the beginning that the market is at 20% below what we're asking. So at a 20% above market, people are not paying attention to it. Again, the COVID days are gone. You have to be priced attractively to sell. And obviously it depends. If you have that corner waterfront home on an acre, new construction that everyone else is looking for, that's a different story. Then you can test the market and say, last year this sold for $3,000 a foot. I'm going to be asking, $3,500 a foot, because we have this piece of property that no one else has. That's different. But if you have something that, that is, I guess, normal, right? Then you have to be priced attractively.
But Angel, my house is perfect. My house is amazing. My house is totally different because, I have a finished basement and with a golf simulator, and mine's special. And it's always the conversation we end up having is we totally understand that. But our job is to not be emotional when we're talking pricing strategy. You want to be emotional when we talk about marketing? That's what we do all day long. Create film, create emotion, create traffic,
Right.
create inspiration. Not when we're talking about business and pricing strategy, because that's
one of the things that I like to, because that's what exactly what you said is usually what comes up, right? Like, my house is this and my house is that, and without sounding rude, because you are an advisor, you want to listen. The truth is that I ask them, though, when you did this golf simulator or you did this remodeling, did you do it thinking of a resale, or you did it for yourself? Usually it's for themselves, right? So you kind of put it in their mind, you got your money out of it. You used it, you enjoyed it, Now it's time for someone else to come and put their own taste in your home, right?
Yep.
And then I go back to not literally like this because I can offend someone, but you're not buying your own home, are you? Right? Like, what I think and what you think, it's important because we have a say, but what's more important is how are buyers looking and comparing homes when they're looking to buy? They're going to look at what has sold, right? And second, that's most important. Second, they're going to look at the competition. But sellers, they only look at what's on the market right now, which is usually overpriced. Oh, but that guy's asking, let's say $10 million, and you're telling me to list my home at 8? Well, that guy has also been on the market for 360 days. Do you want to be on the market for 360 days, or do you actually want to sell?
Sure.
Because we're not talking about just listing your home. We're talking about listing and selling your home.
Right.
So, you always have to give people real stats and ask them questions so they can realize for themselves what's going on. Because if you start telling them what to do, people don't trust and believe what you say. They only trust and believe what they say.
Correct.
So you almost have to get them to say it themselves.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
No, you're 100% right. It depends on their personality sometimes, but most people, when it comes to their finances and their property and their house, they want to feel like it's their decisions, and you want them to make their decisions. You don't ever want to push anybody in to do anything like that. But it comes down to, when we had that conversation with Shelly and Leonard, one of the things that Leonard was saying a lot of was, Buyers sometimes, especially when times get tough, when interest rates go up, when they feel strapped for cash, when the stock market doesn't do so well, and they're out home shopping, what they tend to do is get a little tighter. And so then they start to look at these properties that are 30-year fixed mortgages, or they're going to pay cash for, that they're going to be in. And they're planning on moving for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years. This is their home. And they start to think like an investor. So they start to be very analytical, or they start to time the market or have those conversations. And we see sometimes buyers do that to themselves and sometimes lose out on properties that were great for their family because they're too nervous about that. And on the flip side, you start to see sellers who don't take that into consideration on the pricing either. And they think that everybody's just supposed to pay these random numbers that they came up with because they did want to put the $150,000 back for the golf simulator into their underlining price. And then they try to back in to recoup all their value. And it's like, that's what we're seeing. Are you seeing some of that from the buyers, that although there's a lot, they tend to get analytical too much and do this whole investor price timing when it's like you're going to be in this house for 15 years, 20 years?
A lot of that, Michael. Yes, definitely. We're seeing a lot of that, especially now even more. So, we deal a lot with high net worth individuals, right? And these people are there because they're very, very smart. And most of them are, hedge funds and bankers.
Yep.
So they're very analytical, and they make decisions based on numbers.
Yep.
Even though, like I tell people, your home is not necessarily an investment; it's where you're going to live. However, it's important to buy well because you want to have equity as soon as you buy, ideally. So yes, look, we have to educate them on that. What happens is that historically, when things shoot up, usually they come down, right? Like that's the history of the market. It's always an up and down, up and down, and up and down. And what I try to explain to people when they're buying in Miami is that this rocket that we just hit in 2020, 2021, and 2022, it's not necessarily that the market just went up because there's a bubble. It's because Miami has been extremely undervalued for the last forever. When you compare it to the other bigger cities, California, New York, Chicago, including Boston, we're still actually on price per square footage. We're still actually below them. But now Miami has a lot more to offer in terms of restaurants, just overall the business world. Money's coming here and money usually follows money. Arts, technology. Miami is not just a party town, Miami Beach, just go have some drinks. No, Miami is a place that people call home now. So it went up and now it's stabilized, and this is where it's going to be. But those people that are thinking that it's going to go back to what it used to be, or maybe 2008 will happen all over again, when you look at all the stats and how we got here, I think we're going to be very stable. So again, my recommendation, there's always opportunities. There's always, opportunities out there, even on a seller's market, because you never know what's going on with people. But if you're looking for a deal on a new construction home in a good location, you're never going to buy a man.
No.
It's not going to happen.
No.
It's not going to happen. Now, can you get a deal on a home that needs work, on a land, on a pre-construction home that is a year away, and that developer perhaps is a little concerned about the market and you can tie it up right now? Like, yeah, there's deals. But this unicorn of the home being turnkey on a good location, what everyone's looking for, you're not going to get a deal. You're going to pay, if you pay fair market value, that's a good deal in Miami.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. And it's we're doing with the same conversation about how we were undervalued for so long. And then this large mass exodus into our location has changed a lot. I mean, our schools are booming. Enrollment is doubling in some places for this. And it's becoming bigger and bigger. And I think it's one of the first times too across the country we've actually seen a fracturing of different markets. So this is the first time LA and California is really starting to get hit and feel a lot of what's happened in the mass exodus from their state. And it's the Northeast and it's Florida that has done so well. And I think if you're a single family primary home residence or a condo primary home residence, yeah, you can't be worried about, this dip in the market or a plateauing, because at the end of the day, you're locking in your rate. It's what you can afford per month, and markets are always going to be somewhat this way. But we're not a speedboat. We're a cruise ship. To make the turns or adjustments in our pricing takes a really long time. This is not '08. We're a very healthy market. I agree with everything you just said. I wanted to ask you, because this is something I get asked a lot too. Are you seeing in the last 2 to 3 years since COVID started, and you do have 1,000 people a day coming into your state, are you seeing trends and changes in what buyers are looking for? I know in my market, we've had a ton of Hamptons buyers, a ton of New York City buyers. So the custom built homes that we see get built have a completely different trend of so much inside outside space, a ton of glass, high ceilings, and it's becoming a little bit more of the modern style for sure. What is some of the trends that you're seeing in your market?
So similar here, right? Unless it's custom, we're not seeing much of that, Mediterranean traditional style. We're seeing a little bit more modern. Something that is a trend here, specifically in our area. It's kind of like that farmhouse style, that
Really?
black and white modern farm style. And I have to say, when I first saw a few of them, I didn't know how I felt about it. I know that I liked it, but I was kind of, I don't know about this. But now, after walking a few of them and selling a few of them, I'm a fan myself.
Really?
I like it. I think it's very cool. And, some of these architects and developers are doing a great job with them.
That's so
And
interesting.
they're not small. Usually the farmhouse, you think of like, 2 to 3,000
Yeah.
square feet. These homes are like, anywhere from 6 to 10,000 square feet.
Wow.
They're big farm style homes.
It's interesting, the trends, and it comes from the people where they come from. We're seeing a ton of what I would categorize as super modern, like I said, Hamptons, Miami style, LA style. It's just a difference. So those big brick, solid, classic Georgian colonials we're seeing less and less, and different styles are being kind of built. And it's interesting, the farmhouse style where you are, huh? That's cool.
Yeah.
Wait till the big Center Hall colonials hit.
Yeah. In terms of we have all type of buyers, right? We have people that like the modern. We have people that tell me, don't show me any of those white modern boxes. Yep. I like Mediterranean.
Yep.
I like more of a old school, 1915 home with more character and so on. But overall, people want that, modern traditional style. And in terms of the trends of what we're seeing, New York has always been the number one feeder market to Miami. Now we're seeing California very strong coming in.
Really?
Because I feel like the tax break is huge for your millionaire and billionaires in California. Moving to Miami, they save a big chunk just by moving here.
Right.
And again, the talent is moving to Miami too, right? One of the things, when I used to go in 2016 and 17 to New York and California and try to get buyers in here, they would say, man, I love it over there, but there's no talent, in terms of people that can hire to raise capital or so on. And now that has changed as well. The talent is moving to Miami. But in terms of buyers, I don't know if you saw this article. It's about $138 billion moving into the United States overall.
Yep.
From Latin America.
Yep.
These countries they're becoming strong socialists, and people that have lots of capital over there, they want to get it out. They don't want that being controlled by the government. So they want to come to the greatest country in the world, the United States, and before they would think New York, California second, maybe Chicago third. Now it's number one, Miami, overall, Florida.
There you go.
So
and they have a great broker they can work with when they come.
That's right. And I speak both languages.
Perfect. Beautiful.
Actually, I speak better Spanish than English, but
Well, that's all right.
anyhow, yeah, we're seeing lots of Argentinians, Colombians, Venezuelans still coming strong. So yeah,
Beautiful.
we expect for the market to be strong here for a long time.
Finish up here a little bit on the trends and the homes and where we are looking at the real estate market. What do you think here going forward? We're going to be looking at 2023 and further. I know we don't have a crystal ball, so nobody really knows. But I can kind of predict if we are to stay this course, if inventory stays low, if demand stays high, if interest rates start to just plateau right where we are, and people are accepting 6% interest rates, and we're okay as far as inflation. I could see where that goes. Where do you see this market headed, especially in your market, which is a very big secondary home market, which is now turning into a big primary home market? Where do you see us headed?
I'm sorry, Mike. Your question was if interest rates stayed the same.
Well, if we are staying status quo, do you think we'll stay status quo with everything and continue this basically slow price increase as we kind of go up, or do you think it'll plateau, or do you think we're headed in a different direction?
So again, we just went skyrocketed up to this market, which is, I think now we're in the same playing field as New York and California,
Yep.
still below. So
Right.
there's about 20% room growth from where we're at right now. But the market here has stabilized, and it's a healthier market. It's not just such a seller's market. I think it's even, which I like because it brings the value of the real estate agent a little bit higher.
Right.
But I do think that we're going to continue to go up how it usually does. A 3 to a 6% year to year. It's not going to be a 20 or a 40% how we did from 2020 to 2021 and 2022. So I do see a stabilized, healthy market in Miami overall in Florida. And it will continue to go up because, as you know, it's supply and demand, right? And we have still dramatically higher demand than the supply.
Got it. Let me ask you this: what about in the aspects of? Oh shit! I was just about to ask you a question. I just had it in my head. I can't remember it. It's going to come to me. I know it's going to come to me. Rob, edit all this part out. Make sure that if I remember this question, put this in front there. All right, so let's talk a little bit about. I remember I was going to ask you. Yeah, perfect. So, as for a lot of real estate agents who do watch this podcast or DM me or are always looking for insight on the real estate market or the high-end real estate market, they're saying, I've been in business for a little bit. My standard marketing tactics, the way I've always gotten lead gen, is changing. Zillow leads are changing. There's just less inventory. I don't really know what to do. Are you finding any of the ways that you have done traditional real estate marketing changing, or is it pretty much the same as always? I know for myself, I've really doubled down on making sure my database got a lot of value from me, as people who know me, like me, trust me, continue to work with me as an expert, and I have that group of people right there. Are you finding any of the ways that your marketing changed? Are you going to anything different?
Yeah, so look, we always try to be innovative. I think we're always changing, right? If you're not changing, you're staying behind.
Mm-hmm.
However, never let go of the basics, and the core will never change, which is, like you said, touching your database. In our world, is out of sight, out of mind. You have to stay on top of your database. You have to continue to reach out to people and add value. Us real estate agent, we get paid for about 20 to 30% of the job that we do. The other 70, we're just kind of providing value to people and staying in their face and just trying to be that advisor that is always there to help out, whether it's real estate or GC, or find me a maid or whatever that may be. We're there to help for whatever we can help with. So with that being said, yeah, we're changing. We're going a lot into, like, social media it's been awesome for us.
Yeah.
And and I think it helps that we already had a good follower base.
Yeah.
But videos, especially like short videos, that you want those people to ask, hey, what's going on with this property? And then you send them that long video explaining everything else. That's been great for us. We do geo targeting. Once we get a listing, we find out like, okay, who's the profile of this buyer, right? Is it a family? Is it going to be a bachelor? Is it going to be an athlete, more, a basketball player, baseball player? We don't have the answers to everything, but we try to kind of create that profile of the buyer and then target where's it going to come from? Latin America, New York, Chicago, California. And then we target that specific area hard. And if it works, great, we do more of that. And if it doesn't work, we adjust. We don't do as much as we used to, like the mailers and stuff like that. We're focusing more on digital and just nonstop. At the end of the day, like when I said, you can never let go of the basics, it's that one-on-one connection. You can never stop setting up those meetings, getting in front of, top CEOs, hedge funds, and so on. You have to keep that personal connection.
Absolutely. What's the platform that you're finding that is either working the best or you like the most?
So a few, social media, when it comes to social media, Instagram is our number one. We're very active on LinkedIn as well. And LinkedIn is more of a short, intro or quick follow-up. Social media is more, catching the eyes or giving a market update. Is that what's this the sexiness about Miami that people like about social media? So when we post a video or a picture, we get questions. It's usually like, oh, how much is this home? Or, sometimes we don't put the address on purpose. People get asked, oh, where's the address? And then from there, that conversation starts, and then we reel them in as a buyer. Hopefully it's for that home. If not, now we start the conversation of what is important to them, and we continue to advise them.
Gotcha.
But I would say Instagram is number one for us.
Yeah. The Instagram reels, the top stories. We've seen YouTube and YouTube Shorts doing really, really well lately. That's another one. But LinkedIn too.
We are not necessarily huge on YouTube. We usually partner up with a few YouTubers that already have that platform.
Yep.
For little by little, we're continuing to do more of the YouTube. It is time consuming because YouTube are longer videos and usually it's explaining the details of the entire house. So, because it's time consuming, I'm not doing that as much. But we do have people within our team that are doing that. And we're seeing good feedback.
Yeah, awesome. I love your stuff. And for people who aren't following, we'll put all of Angel's Instagram information on the description so you guys can check them out because it's really, really great. I mean, who doesn't love to look at beautiful Miami waterfront? The location and the properties you work with are just beautiful. So there's never going to be somebody who doesn't want to see it. So and you do a great job of that.
Thank you. Look, we do get some pushback from the sellers, right? Because the sellers are saying, if you have a buyer, like social media doesn't work and so on. When you talk to these high CEOs, they don't do social media.
Yeah.
However, guess what? Their wives are probably in social media.
Correct. Yeah.
Their kids are probably in social media. If they're working with an agent, they're in social media.
Yep.
And their friends are. So they go out to a dinner and say, oh, you're still looking to move to Miami? Yes, I am. Well, I saw this beautiful property on social media. Check this out. Oh, cool.
Right.
Social media definitely helps, right? You're just technically using that platform to put it out there for the whole world to see. And the reason why we like Instagram, we can target a specific audience. We can target a specific neighborhood. Right. It's hard to do now, but you can still do it. And it definitely works.
Right. No, 100%. You can go all in on one, but you kind of need everything. There's a place for long form YouTube. There's a place for shorts. There's a place for Instagram. There's a place for LinkedIn. And I know people don't like to digest it all, but especially with AI and technology and with companies that you can work with, if you're on, if you're not more advanced, you can get coaching, get help on that. But it's absolutely going to be beneficial to you, your business, and your clients, and selling their
Yeah,
homes.
I like to use a percentage, right? Like what percentage of business is coming from social media and different platforms in social media, percentage is coming from this and from that. Some of them is a low percentage. It can be a 1 or a 2 or a 3%, but it still counts. And you never know when that 3% is going to be the one that is going to help you sell that house. So
Yeah.
in the beginning, you can't do them all. You have to be an expert at one and focus on one, and then start growing into the other ones. Because if it's 1%, hey, it's still 1%, right? You
Yeah,
never
and it depends on
know.
what it is that you're doing. Like if you're doing YouTube and you're trying to attract sellers, well, you're going to put a certain type of content out there, and there's probably also going to maybe need to be some paid advertising on something like that. If you're trying to attract buyers, that's a little different. I mean, every platform has its pluses, minuses, and things that you can use it for. It's just part of our business now, whether people want to accept it or not, is to understand how advertising and marketing works. That's
Yeah,
We play many, many hats. We're therapists at times. We're price consultants. We're advertising marketing specialists. We play a lot of different hats. And to be at the highest and best level of this business, playing at the highest and best level with the highest and best buyers and sellers and properties and locations, yeah, you're going to have to be a very versed individual with a great team around you. And that's something like,
definitely.
again, kudos to you. That's something you do. And you're a great example of that.
Thank you, thank you. On the residential world, we're mostly therapists, but yes, all of
Right.
the above.
Yes, exactly.
One of the reasons why we're not so big on YouTube is because if you see the big people that have a big following on YouTube and are doing this at a high level, they usually are in the business of YouTube. They're not necessarily in the business of selling homes. They make money by sending referrals and stuff like that, but they're not necessarily brokering these deals, except for maybe just a few. Like Sirhan is one that is active, very active on YouTube, and he actually sells. Mind you, he has a big team now. Uh, so we just partner up with people and let them video our home and get leads from them. But in the next few months, you're going to see us more active on YouTube. So stay tuned.
We will watch that, and we'll put any information that you have on the description as well. I wanted to touch on this before we wrap up because this is near and dear to my heart. I was like thinking about this because I've never found anything on this online, which specifically talks about real estate agent men's fashion, like women's fashion all day long. There's a million things. But in men's fashion, especially in the real estate industry, it's interesting because it's so location driven and you dress according to your client, right? Because if you're in New York City and you're dealing with finance money all day long, they would expect you to be wearing a suit. In your area, I'm going to ask you. You're in kind of a secondary market or perma vacation market, beautiful weather. It changes a little bit there. So I want you to talk a little bit about your experience with men's real estate agent fashion, some do's, some don'ts, some tips, and then maybe for somebody who's not in your market, somebody who experiences seasons like we're in, what's out, don't do this anymore. I'm just so interested to hear what you think.
Well, it's such an interesting question because I'm into fashion. I always have been. Um, and for me, it's different. I come from a traditional mom. That she always wanted us to tuck our shirt in and look professional, and keep your pants up. Belt
Yeah.
up and so on. So I've kind of have that engraved in my mind. I'm that kind of guy that tucks his shirt in. However, I like to be comfortable, right? And I come from a sports background. After I was done playing baseball, I was a personal trainer, so I was that guy that was wearing shorts all the time and a t-shirt, comfortable. Now I'm in a different world, right? And I'm dealing with high net worth individuals, and I'm selling. Thank God. I mean, I'm blessed. I'm selling. Our average price point is $5 million plus, and I feel that out of respect to the seller and to the buyer, when I'm giving a presentation, you want to, comfortable is fine and wearing sneakers and even shorts because it's Miami, but you want to be professional. That's just me. You want to be professional. Wearing a button down, where you're tucking your shirt in or not. You want to look professional. What that means, you don't have to wear a tie or a suit all the time. But I love jackets, and the Bespoke Club, which I actually have a partnership with them now. But I know Simone for years, and I told him, Simo, I want for Miami. Like this shirt is very stretchy and
Yeah.
light. So even if I sweat, it kind of sucks it in. It's kind of like a Lululemon type of material.
Right.
So for me, comfort is number one. Professional, looking professional is number two, and dressing for the occasion is number three. So I will say, look professional. Miami is very hot, so keep a jacket on if you need it. When you pull it up to going up to a meeting, but know your audience, right? Some people are like ripped jeans and kind of, are you going into a club or are you going into a home to sell it? So kind of, I for me, it's more of respect for my clients. I become really good friends with people, but they'll never let that friendship confuse the professionality. They're hiring you to sell their home and maximize their dollars on that home. So they expect some professionality, in my opinion, and maybe I'm wrong.
No, I think you're
But
spot on. I think what happens sometimes with the difficulty for people sometimes, or for me, is there's this trend of dressing down, for whatever that means, like not trying to seem too overdressed. That's like a big fear. I'd rather be underdressed than overdressed, because if I'm underdressed, I don't care. I'm cool, whatever. And my seller's not going to wear. They whatever. They want me to be like them. Relatability. And I kind of feel like
right,
there's a place for that. But I can't remember who said it. They said, think about the way you dress in the same way as a supplement to the property. So like if your property is a beautiful property, new construction, then you yourself and your dress should be almost like an accessory to that. It should fit with what it is exactly that you're presenting and selling. If you want a high ticket property, high ticket price, you should be able to fit that mold. It wouldn't fit if you weren't feel like that combination, which is really interesting. So in a market where I am, it is very easy to fall into the trap of like not being overdressed, being underdressed, and just going with like khaki pants, a white dress shirt, and a button down, like and a suit jacket, because that's what you're just like. What I just default to that, because anything outside of that, is that too crazy? Do I wear a dress jacket with a t-shirt? Is that not enough? And it's hard sometimes in seasons, because you're like, man, I gotta try like different outfits for different seasons for different stuff. What's your take on the dressing down? Like in your market, do you see that agents can be successful in your market dressing down, where they're flip flops, short, and a dress shirt or something like that?
So I'm going to touch on a few things here. I sometimes I see agents that are especially new, and you can tell they're wearing like suit and tie, and it's super hot, and they're showing a pre-construction home. And sometimes they look like they're trying too hard, right? And it's like, man,
Yeah.
you look like you're like either a banker, or you're like you're AT&T, your typical knocking on doors, selling, I don't know, newspaper or something.
Yeah.
And these sellers or buyers, they can tell, right? So yeah, look, dress professional, but don't overdo it either, right? Like you don't want to be showing up to a meeting for, I don't know, a $2 million home, and everyone there is, they're going to be wearing shorts and a t-shirt, and you show up with a 3-piece suit and a tie, and man, sometimes it's overwhelming for people.
Yeah.
But then you also don't want to show up too relaxed, with sandals, shorts, V-neck or whatever that may be, because then people may think, man, are you here to sell my home, or are you here to hang out and have a drink in my pool? So just keep a balance. I do kind of not envy, but I respect those people. There's a few agents out here in Miami that are consistent with what they wear, and I think it's cool. I can't pull it off. It's just not my style.
What's their
But
style?
they're wearing Jordans, and they're wearing T-shirts, and they're selling, high-end properties. However, they've been on this business for a long time, and they're really educated in what they do. They're really good at what they do, right? So when you're really good at what you do, perhaps what you wear doesn't really matter as much. But first impression is big, right? When people look at you, they kind of in their mind subconsciously they kind of can tell, well, not can tell, but they make up a story of who they think you are. And so you, in my mind, you want to have the less objections, the less barriers that you need to jump. So I keep it consistent. I'm not too out there. I'm also not too like professional or too underdressed. I will say, whatever you do, own it and stay consistent with that.
I think if you had to give a tip to somebody, and I'm just going off of your look, right? And maybe in something that I'm trying to adopt too, because I have seasons, right? I'm not a big, I don't like the jacket and dress shirt underneath it. I always don't, I don't always feel like if I could start to wear these clothes, I would feel very comfortable, but that's not necessarily the most presentable. So in like warmer weather times, I would do dress shoes, dress pants, dress shirt, no jacket, keep the button open, just keep everything very, professional but casual at the same time. And then in the summer times, you could do the same thing and just make it polo. And then the winter, as long as it's kind of like dress shoes are one of those things, because you're either wearing dress shoes, you're wearing sneakers, or you're wearing sandals. And I don't know when, for a newer agent, I don't know when you're wearing sandals or sneakers is really going to be the thing. I don't know. What do you think? Like, if you had to do like pick like the key, like just do this to not go over one with the other.
Right. First of all, let me just say that you look great, man. You look like a million
Oh, thank
dollar,
you.
like a billion dollar listing agent.
I
So
don't know about that.
what you're wearing right now, you see, like it all depends. You have to be able to pull this off, Mike. Someone can wear exactly what you're wearing and not pull it off. They may look cheesy or whatever. You're wearing a white T-shirt that from here it looks very nice, and you're wearing this sports jacket.
Yep.
And if you're pulling into a penthouse that is $25 million homes, it's how you present yourself too, right? Like I'm never gonna think like, oh, that guy was underdressed, so he doesn't look professional. Now, if you're jumping into a meeting with a bunch of attorneys that you're going to go into a conference call or whatever, and you dress like that, and everyone else is wearing a suit and tie, you may look a little bit off. So it all depends, right? Like when I go show homes now on Sundays, uh, I'm more, jeans, sneakers, still buttoned down, may not be tucked in, may not, and I might carry one of those jackets depending on, if I need to look a little more professional or not. Um, Man, I kind of missed your question though.
So
Can
I
you
mean,
repeat that one more time?
I'm thinking of and it's true that same way. I definitely dress down when I have buyers that I've been working with. Not we don't dress down like look like rolled out of the bed, but you don't have to get crazy. Just be comfortable because it's going to be a day for them. It's going to be a day for you. You guys both want to be comfortable, and these are your clients. When you're meeting a seller for the first time, and you're going into a space like that, I think the key is know who they are, do your intel, understand the room that you're walking into, maybe how they're going to probably be dressed at the time, what they do for a living, what their expectation of you is. And I think to never, if you're worried about what to wear, a nice pair of dress shoes, dress pants, and a dress shirt without the jacket, if it's a nice spring summer day, you're never going to go wrong with something like that if it's fitting really, really well. And you can throw the jacket on, now you have a suit. And then, I mean, that's because your look is awesome. I love,
Thank you, man.
You
Appreciate
have
it.
the look that is, like I said, I think we should definitely put the information on the bespoke company that you were talking about, because that's a great look and kind of an idea for a high-end broker, especially if you're starting to get into the business and you're trying to figure out what to wear. Do I show up in, this way over the top 3-piece suit kind of thing compared to an underdressed? Yeah, I think that's a great place to start. And then it's just find your thing, because if you're comfortable and you feel like you fit in the middle and you're good in that spot, stay consistent so people understand your wardrobe. But being comfortable is the key, right? You said it from the top.
Yeah, remember, people are not hiring us for fashion advice, right? So they're hiring us because we're knowledgeable in a real estate world, and we're going to advise them on that. but it does help to look a certain way, right? I think, and at the end of the day, I do it more for the client. But going back to the baseball theme, if you look good, you feel good. If you
Play
feel
good.
good, you play good, and
That's
if you
right,
play
man.
good, you get paid good.
That's it. That's it, man. That's it.
Deion Sanders, baby.
That's it.
So I do it for as respect to the client, but also for myself. I have to feel comfortable. I have to feel professional. Wearing a button down to me is important. Tucking my shirt in is important. When I feel good and I feel professional and I feel comfortable, then that helps everything else.
Ladies and
Uh,
gentlemen, I
so,
I, I want to wrap it there, but Angel, thank you so much. Your insight on the market, your professionalism, your ability to give us great information and guidance on, even for newer agents, on what they should be looking out for and how they can build their business. And of course, anybody who's ever looking to buy or sell in your area, there's nobody better. Thank you so much. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you might want to add?
man, thank you so much for having me. I would like to say that we have lots of pre-construction homes coming to market that are not on the market yet, and they're going to move pretty fast. It should be done in the next 3 to 6 months. We do have a beautiful development in Key Biscayne of 12 units. 6 of them are 3 bedrooms, 3 bath, and the other 6 are 4 bedroom, 4 bath, a block away from the beach, which includes the beach club as an amenity. So just wanted to throw that out there just in case anyone
Absolutely.
listening, whether you're an agent or a buyer, reach out to me or reach out to Mike to get in touch with me, and we'll help them out.
And if we have
And
any more
hey, I
information
have to
on,
take you to the Bespoke Club. I have to
yeah,
take you to
man,
the Bespoke Club.
absolutely.
The Bespoke Club USA.com. Their Instagram is the same thing at the Bespoke Club USA. That's it. That's their Instagram. And I'm actually working. Cool news here. I'm working with Compass to make them the official, tailor custom clothing of Compass, and give all the Compass agent a great discount. I'm not sure if that's going to be a 10 to a 15. They're also coming up with a cool app that you can be in the middle. Someone can scan you. They create an avatar of yourself. That avatar goes into the tailor, and they can measure you, kind of have the measuring you in person. It's extremely accurate, so you don't have to travel to them. By the way, you're in New York, Mike. They have agents that will go travel and go to your house and show you different materials so you can touch and feel. And just to make sure it's not just suits, it's jeans, it's pants, shorts, obviously custom button
Wow.
downs, even polos. So, so yeah, we'll
We
get
we
you
might
on
have to
that.
take a trip down there and do a business highlight on this, and you give us the tour of the area and then tell us about this business, because this sounds amazing. And I am planning on making a trip down there this year because I have some friends and family down there that have now moved. So I'm right in your backyard. So you have to take us on a tour so we can stay tuned for that, because that's going to be absolutely amazing. We'll put all the
Let's do it.
information
Let's make it
on
happen.
that company, on the links where they can follow and gain more information on the description. But Angel, I thank you so much, man. Thank you. You've been absolutely awesome. And I wish all the best to you and your family. I hope the New York Knicks beat you guys tomorrow versus the Miami Heat. But we'll see. You never know. We'll see.
Listen,
My Knicks.
it's always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for having me. I'm sorry to tell you though that Miami Heat are going to, probably sweep you guys. And
We'll
yeah,
see.
I'm sorry to all of New York, but it's our time.
Okay, we'll see. But it doesn't ruin an amazing man, an amazing business person, a just awesome. I want to wish you all the best to you and your family, Angel. Thank you so much for your time.
Hey, I want to say this for the record. I've always been a Knicks fan. I've always liked New York. Madison Square Garden is a special place, unless they're playing Miami. So,
See, that's how
all
we
right.
get the caveat.